Hey guys, Aaron Cybertron Zang here, and today I'm back with another episode of Road to Ranked, where I climb the online VGC 18 ladder and provide live commentary as I go. It's been a couple of days, so I'm just going to give you guys a couple of quick updates before we get started with this video. First of all, yes, I did cut my hair drastically. I was thinking of not doing a webcam because I didn't want you guys to roast me too hard for the new haircut. I was thinking of trimming it a little bit more, just because it ended up being a lot longer than I wanted it to be, I think. But yeah, I'm just going to have to bear with it for now, so you guys are just going to have to get used to it for now. But more importantly, you know, I was in Hong Kong for the last like 2 weeks or so. I was back in New York for a couple of days. I spent that time really visiting friends and just catching up with old friends. Now I've officially moved back to my dorm over in California. It's going to be my last semester here at this school, and I'm going to be doing an update video relatively soon about really my plans in real life, and then also my plans in terms of content creation for 2018. So you guys can look forward to that, but we are just going to jump back to where we left off. And I'm using a rain team that I built, and I brought it to a mid-season showdown over in Hong Kong. It was a really fun team to use, a very hyper offensive, and I think it's just a team that's pretty exciting to play with because there are a bunch of cool components. You know, you've got the Zapdos Tapu Lele combination, the Lele Metagross combination, the Rain combination with Poli and Ludi, so there's a lot to play around with. So yeah, I'm really excited to be back, and content should be a lot more consistent now in the upcoming days and weeks. Really for 2018, I just want to be able to produce a lot more content, hopefully, and we're going to get into the first game of today's episode against another Rain team, actually. So as always, if you guys enjoy Road to Rank, please share support by leaving a like in the video. I'd appreciate it. I also started playing singles, and I joined the GBA, which is one of the premier singles leagues on YouTube. So if you haven't seen the last upload involving that, definitely check it out. And let's talk about today's game. Goths, Mawile, Poli, Ludi, Incineroar, and Tapu Bulu. So, excuse me, I'm still a little bit sick. I caught a cold while I was back in New York, unfortunately, since it was so darn cold here. But fortunately, it's a lot warmer back in California. So, this kind of team that our opponent has is really tricky because of the potential Trick Room setup. For example, the Incineroar Goths lead is kind of scary. One way I could kind of work my way around that is by potentially leading Rain. Kind of like the idea of leading Rain, actually, because I can just get a fast fake out off. I can go for Z moves immediately. I'm trying to think what else I'd want to lead with. I like Rain the most, I think. I mean, the other tempting thing is Landorus, just because I can knock off and U-turn. But I think I like Rain a lot here as a lead. The only downside is if my opponent leads Bulu, actually. So I could go Landorus, Politoed, Lele, Metagross. I should have brought Ludi. I don't really know what I was thinking of with that team preview. Oh well, we'll see. Yeah, the issue is with the Pokemon I brought, I'm really weak to my opponent's Ludicolo if my opponent actually brought it. So that could be a problem. We'll see how this goes. I also reset my rating, just because I was like playing a lot at home just to practice, and I got pretty tilted, just because sometimes you have like bad laddering. I'm pretty bad with laddering. Sometimes I get bad habits, and so I ended up resetting my rating, which you can do by just switching your DS that you play online with. So we do see Goth and Bulu come out. Okay. So this will allow me to at least U-turn and go into my Metagross. Alternatively, if I'm really afraid of the Trick Room, I could just Helping Hand knock off immediately. Which, quite honestly, I'm tempted to do. Yeah, I kind of wish I led Metagross instead. Totally could be Grassy and Z Bulu. Bulu's grassy terrain went before Rain did, so it's faster than Politoed. I mean, I could just knock off Goth and switch out into Metagross. I just would like to knock out Goth itself if possible, but it's very likely Goth protects turn 1. That would allow me to get a free switch in, though. It's just like, do I think Goth's going to protect here? The safest play for me is to U-turn out into Metagross and protect Politoed, I think. But I really do want to play aggressive turn 1 and just Helping Hand knock off. Let's see if Goth actually protects. Okay, so no switch out. That's not too surprising. Nice. So no protect means banned knockoff. It knocks out Goths cleanly, which also means my opponent can't Trick Room now. And Bulu doesn't go for a Z move, just alps the Wood Hammer. I don't think that knocks Landorus out. Oh, it does. Huh. Is that... I'm trying to figure... Okay, it's Life Orb. That explains some. Okay, could be worse. I'm gonna bring out... See, this is where I should have brought Ludicolo, because I'm worried that my opponent has Ludicolo. If my opponent doesn't have Ludicolo, this game is a lot easier. But I'm gonna bring in Metagross right now, I think. I'm just really worried to see Ludicolo switch in, but I think my opponent might have brought Poli Mawile. And there's Mawile coming in. If you had Ludi, I feel like you'd bring Ludi out right there, so that's a good sign to begin with. So Mawile gets access to Sucker Punch, right? So my opponent right now could totally protect Bulu and just Sucker Punch Metagross or play rough Politoed. So the question is, do I predict the protect on Bulu's end? Because I could Iron Head Scald Mawile for a knockout and then end the game. No, I would just end the game there. Alternatively, I could also switch into Tapu Lele, but with the Politoed slot to block the Sucker Punch priority. I think I'll play it safe here just because I can still switch into Tapu Lele next turn, and I am max special attack with Politoed, so Scald should do at least over 50%. Has a burn chance as well. Bulu switches out, so good switch on our opponent's end. And it's Incineroar. Okay, I'm fine with that though because Poli has a really phenomenal matchup against both of these, and then my Lele in the back should be able to knock out Bulu in the range it's in. So, I could have doubled up on Mawile. I mean, Mawile could be protecting here. I think it probably Sucker Punches Metagross, but maybe Play Roughs my Politoed. Although, it is kind of annoying because... Well, we'll see. Sucker Punch definitely won't knock me out, and then I can switch into Lele next turn. But it looks like it's not going for a Sucker Punch. Okay, that's a good sign. Does it play Roughing then? That Iron Head also does a ton to Incineroar. Yeah, it was a crit. Faster with Politoed, that's good to confirm. And Scald here does just under 50%. No burn, unfortunately. But actually an Iron Head coming out onto the Politoed slot. Maybe predicting a Lele switch in there. But fortunately, I did not switch into Lele. So that works out immensely in my favor. So that's where switching to Lele could have been kind of dangerous. But fortunately, it did not go for that. So now I'm in a really good spot, I feel like. I think I want to switch into Lele with my Metagross and Scald Incineroar to block the Fake Out. I'd be really impressed if my opponent Iron-Headed the Metagross slot predicting that. That'd be a really good read. Alternatively, I could switch Politoed out into Lele to get the terrain up. And Stomping Tantrum the Incineroar. But I'm not sure that would knock out. If my opponent went for the same read, then Politoed would go down. So I think I'll switch Metagross out instead. Yeah. Reason being, I could also... I mean, worst case here is if Incineroar actually has Protect and Mawile Iron Heads Metagross, but if neither of... Like, I mean, Incineroar normally doesn't have Protect. I think it's inclined to Fake Out here. It could go for a Z move, actually, in retrospect. If it went for, like, a Dark Z move onto Politoed, that could have been really bad. But Mawile actually switches out. Which is interesting, but that's fine. Although I guess this means that I could get Scalded now into the... I could get Faked Out, sorry, into the Poli slot, which could be bad. But no Fake Out. Okay. I don't think I would knock out a... well, it gets knocked out. So it's either... I don't know. Max Special Attack and Rain, that might still knock out Assault Vest Incineroar. But that's really good for me. Yeah. So, I mean, I could switch Lele out. And I think I probably will, just so I have terrain control. And I don't think my opponent can really do much. The reason why I'd like terrain control as well is just because... I guess it doesn't really matter too much, but it stops the healing, which is nice. I'm just thinking, like, there's nothing my opponent can really do against the Metagross switch-in, which is why I think this is a pretty safe play. And I'll just Protect. Because once I get Metagross in, I can just Iron Head Scald, and there's nothing my opponent can do to stop me other than going for a Sucker Punch, but even with Sucker Punch, you won't knock me out. Rain is slowly expiring, though. But I still feel pretty good about my position. My other play here would have been just a Helping Hand. Actually, in retrospect, I think I should have done that. I should have Helping Hand Moonblasted into the Bulu slot. Because if you knock me out, then I just get a free switch into Metagross and then can Iron Head Scald. So in retrospect, actually, that would have been a better play. Yeah. So I could get punished here. Let's see. Bulu just Horn Leeches. Yeah, it's fine. Okay, and it targets Poli. Great. And we just see a play rough. Yep. That does do a lot of damage, so I could be in Sucker Punch KO range now, which is scary. So this is probably where I switch into Lele, just so I have terrain control. Yeah, I should have Helping Hand Moonblasted last turn. Yeah, I think it's still safe to switch into Lele. Really? Was that on my end? No. Okay. I thought that was on my end for a second. Well, yeah, I think, I mean, that was an unfortunate DC, but I think I had that game locked up more or less. If I switch into Lele and Ironhead, my opponent would have to Ironhead the Politoed slot to begin with, to predict that. But even if you do, then I just switch back into Politoed, and then I just Ironhead the Bulu again and Skull the Mawile. So I think I had that game locked up pretty much. I just needed like 2 more turns pretty much. Not sure if that was like an internet issue or just the DC on my opponent's end. But point is, yeah, I kind of wanted to stay in and helping hand Moonblast, because that covers the Bulu protecting. I mean, if Bulu doesn't protect, I win the game outright there, and it didn't protect, so I would have just won instantly. But even if it protects, I would get the free switch in. But let's talk about this next game. So this has the Salgora Tapu Lele combination, which we've seen pop up. It also is paired with Como. You've also got Gengar, Bulu, and Incineroar. So these kind of teams typically revolve pretty heavily around the Como. Metagross can be really good here, but if the Como has a fire type attack, that could be scary. Now I could lead Zapdos Lele, because by leading Zapdos Lele, I'm Scarf as well, right? So I can attack with Lele beforehand, but I'd also get a potential Tailwind up, and Zapdos can survive the Acid Spray plus an attack from my opponent's Tapu Lele. And in this team comp, it honestly feels really solid. So I definitely want Zapdos, Lele, Metagross, I think. And for the last one, that's kind of a tough call. I'm actually thinking of Politoed just because I could potentially Perish Song to end the game. I mean, Landorus isn't really that great. It does have Intimidate, but that's pretty much it. Politoed is a really good matchup against the Incineroar. And more importantly, I could Perish Song to end the game. That's probably Mega Gengar as well. Because it's Mega Gengar, I'm thinking maybe Landorus instead. Tough call. Poli or Landorus? I think I'm gonna go... I'm bringing Poli. Honestly, I feel like I don't really have a really great, strong 4th option for this game. Like Lele, Metagross, and Zapdos are by far more essential, so we'll see how that goes. But yeah, talking about that last game, like I Ironhead into Bulu. Even if Bulu protects and Mawile predicts Politoed to switch out and Ironheads me, I just switch back into Politoed. Ironhead again into the Bulu slot. Mawile can't do anything because it can't Sucker Punch me against Metagross, and I just Skull the Mawile. Play rough, won't knock me out. I also have the berry, so I'll be able to heal back. So I just Ironhead Scald repeatedly until I win the game. So I think I had that last game won, pretty much guaranteed. But we're going to see Gengar as Selgor, which is pretty scary because I am activating my opponent's Selgor. And the other issue here is the Tapu Lele set, what I'm using, because it is designed to be slower than Tapu Koko, and which also means Mega Gengar, which could be a problem for me here. Now, Selgor does also get access to Tailwind, which is quite scary. So, I could Tailwind and just switch into Metagross, but I could eat a Shadow Ball. I think I want a Tailwind. It's just if I Tailwind, the Selgor can Encore me. Lele is so important here, but do I think I'm going to get Shadow Balled or Sludge Bombed? Because I could survive a Shadow Ball. My opponent also might not expect me to be Scarfed. I think I'm going to Tailwind and Psychic the Selgor, because I think my opponent might try to double up on Zapdos right now or Protect with Mega Gengar. Although protecting with Mega Gengar wouldn't make much sense. Yeah, so there's the Mega. Yeah, this is where I wish I had max speed Scarf Tapu Lele. It's designed to underspeed Koko, so you still get the terrain, but that doesn't matter as much in a VGC 18. I probably should have just gone max speed. Yeah, so there's the Acid Spray. It does actually target the Tapu Lele slot, surprisingly. I thought it would surely go into Zapdos, but okay. And there's a Sludge Bomb. Into the Zapdos! What? Okay, that play doesn't make much sense to me because I feel like you should commit to one or the other. But I do get the Tailwind. Psychic surprisingly doesn't do that much to the Selgor. I thought it would have done more, to be honest, but that's fine. Because now I can just Psychic and Heat Wave. Like, I think my opponent really should have committed to one of the other. But even at minus, I don't think it would have knocked out Zapdos either way, which is why I was thinking you probably double up into the Zapdos slot there. But I think here I will just Thunderbolt a Selgor and Psychic Gengar. Like, I mean, Asugor could Encore, but it's not going to do anything against Lele. So even if you Encore my Zapdos, it just Acid Sprays. And Gengar doesn't protect, so that's a quick double knockout, should be. Yeah, I don't know. I really feel like if you're going to Acid Spray turn 1, you should at least commit to Zapdos. And it makes sense, like, not targeting Lele with the Sludge Bomb, because you might be worried about a Protect. And I was like, oh, this could be pretty bad. But I figured even if I lost Lele turn 1, I'd get a free switch into my Metagross, which can take advantage of the Tailwind. And even if Asugor Encores me, I could potentially knock out Metagross or Gengar to get the switch out. Would have come down to some harder predictions, but instead my opponent made my life a lot easier. Because now I have Scarf Lele and Psychic Terrain under Tailwind and Zapdos, and I still have 2 turns of Tailwind left. Presumably there's a Como in the back. If there's Como, I have Metagross. I can also just switch in Politoed now and Perish Song. So this game is pretty much over, I think, but... You know, last time I said that against the Como almost brought it back, so I can't get too overconfident right now, but... Yeah, I'm just gonna switch into Metagross. Should I switch? Psychic probably knocks out Como. I think I'm actually just gonna double up on Como, just in case it doesn't knock out. And even if my opponent knocks me, I get a free switch into Metagross or Politoed. Like, I have so many turns of Tailwind. Yeah, my opponent just forfeits. Okay. I don't know. I think that turn 1 play made my life a lot easier. It was pretty cool for my opponent to lead a Selgor, though, expecting me to lead Lele. So he did get the better end of that, but then Gengar wasn't able to do Gengar things. Although, had I had max speed, Tapu Lele with Scarf, I would have just been able to Psychic Gengar anyway. But I think I'm probably going to make that change. The new Battle Spot season is actually just in a couple of days, so that's why it didn't make much sense for me to reset my rating at the point that I was at. But for me, it's just kind of like a mental barrier. Sometimes I feel like I'm just playing really bad and I like to start from scratch, but we'll see how high we can climb up in the upcoming days. But yeah, that was a really weird game overall. I don't know. I think my team had a pretty solid matchup. Como is also like not that great against my team because I have Lele and Metagross. This next game's really interesting, though. There's another Como, but everything else is crazy. I mean, you got Goth and Feeny, which isn't as crazy. Ninetales, which we don't really see much in 18 at all. Blastoise, which is probably, I mean, it's the only Mega Evolution possibly on my opponent's team, and the Rabombi. So I really don't know what to expect here, to be honest with you guys. So there is, like, this doesn't scream Trick Room to me, because nothing's that slow, but I suppose you could have Trick Room with Mega Blastoise and just sweep with Blastoise. My best way of shutting down Gothitelle is what you guys saw in that first game with Landorus. But if my opponent leads Ninetales and Goth, I'm in a kind of precarious position. Because I can't switch out with... I mean, Landorus just faints. Because I can't switch out and I'm locked. So I think I'm going to go Lele Metagross instead. Sure. Lele Metagross. With Poli Ludi? Maybe I want to go Rain here this time. Let's give that a try. I actually think Rain's pretty good here. I don't want to lead Rain just because if my opponent leads Goth, I could get trapped and then you can switch in Ninetales and then I can't switch out, which is pretty bad for me. I don't know if my opponent will bring out Goth, and not bringing Landorus could be a mistake because Landorus is like one of my best answers against Goth, but I don't know about this. I guess Lele and Metagross might not be the best either because I'm not really going to take advantage of Psychic Terrain, but maybe Moonblast plus Iron Head knocks out Goth. I'm not too sure about that. But it's going to be Goth and Blastoise for my opponent. Okay, I'll take that because you can't fake me out turn 1. Yeah, even if I had led Landorus, I could have easily just gotten faked out. So, I want to double up onto Goth ideally, but I don't even know if that knocks out. And if that doesn't knock out, then if I knock out the Blastoise, that would be superb. So maybe I double up onto Blastoise. It's just so likely it could protect. And quite frankly, if Blastoise protects, I might just lose. But I don't think a Moonblast plus Iron Head knocks out Goth, to be honest with you guys. Although I do have Shadow Ball. That does 160. Moonblast does slightly less. Do I want to risk it in Shadow Ball? Shadow Ball, Iron Head, Goth? Alright, I'm going to go for it. My other play was to double up into Blastoise, and Goth switches out. Into Feeny? That makes sense too. Oh, if I get Water Spouted here, it's going to be gross. I thought it would be the other way around, where you switch the Blastoise into Feeny. But I guess that doesn't make as much sense. Okay, I was so close to doubling up on Blastoise, too. Okay, ideally Blastoise fakes out turn 1, but I think I'm just going to get Water Spouted here. That's really bad. That might have just lost me the game instantly. We'll see. Okay, Blastoise fakes out, so it does save me. It actually targets Lele, so that actually works out so much better. That could have been really bad for me. Iron Head also crits Feeny and does a disgusting amount. Although I would have preferred not to crit, because then it would have been in KO range still. And now I have to double up into it, but that's still fine. I'll take that turn 1 easily. Because by getting faked out, I also am not locked into Shadow Ball, which is like so nice. I'm not really worried about Feeny at all. I think I'm just gonna Zen Headbutt and Moonblast Blastoise. And if you switch that into Goth now, then I can Iron Head Moonblast surely for a knockout, so I don't need to lock myself into Shadow Ball. Yeah, I'm kind of surprised let the Blastoise opted not to attack turn 1, but it might have worried about like a Psychic Z from Lele. So Feeny actually swaps back out, maybe into Goth. Okay. If Blastoise doesn't protect you, it's just going down. Oh, Misty Seed. That also explains some. Okay, so Blastoise doesn't protect, so this double up should knock it out, as long as I don't miss. Nice. Unless then Headbutt doesn't knock out, but I'm fairly confident it does. Yeah, nice. Okay, so what ended up being a near disaster ends up playing out a lot better. However, I still have to obviously worry about the Trick Room on my opponent's end. But, I don't know, like, there's nothing that really threatens me, especially with Ninetales. I just, like, this team doesn't have any offense other than the Blastoise, and my opponent just gave up Blastoise really easily. That was, like, the main win con. So I don't really see what Ninetales accomplishes right now. I mean, I'm Scarfed. Like, I don't really think I have too much to worry about. I think I'm just going to attack around Goth, honestly. And just double up with that Iron Head and Moonblast because I outspeed. Even if it protects, like, what does Goth do, right? Yeah. So it doesn't even protect. My opponent might... I mean, you should know I'm Scarfed at this point. Yeah, I mean, Lele's been moving first every time. But I just doubled up into it in fear of a potential Focus Sash. And Gothitelle doesn't do any damage as a Pokemon, so I don't know what, like... Goth tickles, okay. I'm trying to figure out the synergy. Like, what do you have Tickle for? There's nothing that really physically attacks on that team. Certainly not Blastoise. Maybe Como, but I mean, you're going to use Z-move Como most of the time. Ninetales definitely not. Blastoise definitely not. Feeny definitely not. So maybe just to reduce the attack. But that doesn't seem that great to me. So Feeny's going to come in. I mean, worst case right now, Feeny protects and Goth Trick Rooms. But I'm still just going to Iron Head Moonblast Feeny because I've already gotten rid of its berry. So, yeah, I don't know. I mean, this game is pretty much locked up with Poli and Ludi in the back as well. There's nothing my opponent can really do. I'm like trying to figure out what my opponent's team really accomplishes because... And nothing's protecting. Okay, that makes my life a lot easier. God, this could have been so much different if turn 1, as I get another crit there on the Feeny. But yeah, this game could have been a lot more different if that turn 1 played out differently, where Blastoise had the Water Spout and just gone for it. And Goth opts for Fake Tears this time around, so that's a pretty interesting Goth set. Fake Tears and Tickle with Misty Seed. But Lele and Metagross really ran over my opponent's team, yeah. And there's not much to say other than that team had, like, I don't know what Ninetales accomplishes at all there against this team, other than to stop the rain. I mean, it makes sense that my opponent brought it, but, like, my opponent didn't have any damage output with Goth, right? And it didn't have any damage output with Ninetales. So you're pretty much relying on Blastoise and Feeny. So the fact my opponent let the Blastoise go down so easily was surprising to me. But we'll take that. And I'll probably play a 4th game. I don't think we've played 4 games in a while, but these games have gone pretty quickly. That second one, or that first one being a DC, and the second one being a forfeit. And it's been a while as well, so yeah, I'll play another one. But yeah, pretty straightforward game so far. I feel like the team has really shown some of its strengths. I haven't used Landorus much, although I'm happy about that. I want to try to use more teams without Landorus, because I know people are kind of bored about seeing Landorus everywhere around anyway. Landorus is just a really good Pokemon, though. I kind of wish it didn't exist, because it's just like so easy to throw on for team building. And obviously people aren't the biggest fan of seeing it around everywhere, but it is really strong. I'm using a band set, though, and that first game demonstrated why it can be really strong. Helping Hand Knockoff especially. Like, how often do you get to see knockout on something like Goth, right? That was fun. But we're going to find Raphael from Mexico with a rating almost in the 1700s, using a team of Metagross, Hydreigon, Landorus, Zapdos, Lele, and now Ego. So, this definitely screams like a Scarf Lele lead. I could go with Rain as well, but I'm a little bit less confident on that. My opponent totally could go with Zapdos, Lele as well on their end. So, I want to lead Lele. The question is, who do I want to pair up next to it? I'm thinking of either Zapdos or Metagross. Because Zapdos would allow me to set up Tailwind and get speed control, which is good. But Metagross hits a lot harder right off the bat. I'm leaning towards Zapdos a little bit more, though, just because I fear the Landorus on my opponent's end. Yeah, I think I'm going to go Lele, Zapdos, Landorus, Metagross. No Rain this time around, unfortunately, but I don't know. You could lead Rain here, but I'm not the biggest fan of it. So, I'm trying to think if there's anything I'm missing here. I mean, like, the thing about Rain is if you lead it, now Ego's often sashed. Zapdos, if it has Psychic Seed, will be able to survive this Hydro Vortex, and it could Tailwind. And I want to be able to at least match my opponent's Tailwind. And, you know, if I go Lele, Zapdos, and if I want Rain, I need Poli and Ludi. And I feel like Metagross and Landorus are way too good in this matchup to give up on. Because Landorus gives me the Intimidate. Earthquake does, you know, one-shots now, Ego, Metagross, and potentially Lele. My Metagross just Zen Headbutts everything as well, so... Higher rated opponent this time around, 4th game of the day. We'll see how this goes. Last couple of games pretty well, but like I said, I did reset my rating. Yeah, I wouldn't suggest it. I think I'm pretty bad when I play ladder, honestly, because I tilt sometimes, and I normally like will say, okay, I'm not gonna stop playing until I reach back to a rating that I want to, and like, yeah, sometimes I'll get like really close and then just go on a really bad losing streak. But we're gonna see Hydreigon and Zapdos. Okay. So this is good, obviously, because I'm Scarf Lele, but the question is whether my opponent anticipates that I'm Scarf and switches out Hydreigon turn 1. I also could be activating the Psychic Seed for my opponent. So let's see. And there's a Psychic Terrain. There's a Psychic Seed on my end. Was that no Psychic Seed on my opponent's? Okay, cool. I mean, I'd love to just Moonblast Hydreigon, but I think it probably switches out into Metagross. So I could Moonblast the Lele, or the Zapdos slot, I mean. I really would love to Snipe. It's just so obvious of a play. I could Dazzling as well. Which is kind of tempting. You just, like, gotta think Scarf Lele here, though, right? Like, there's no way Hydreigon stays in. Yeah, there's no way. So I'm gonna Moonblast Zapdos and Tailwind. If my opponent stays in, then that's a really crazy, good play. But yeah, it switches out. It has to, because, like, what are you gonna do in return? There's Metagross, yeah. I considered Shadow Balling that slot. That would have been a pretty cool read, but I was like, no, I'd rather just, like, Moonblast will do around 40-45% to Zapdos anyway. Get the Tailwind up, and I can potentially knock it out next turn. It actually does a bit more, just over 50, which is really nice because I get the special attack drop. And my Zapdos is faster, which is good too, so it was a good turn 1 for me for sure. And yeah, Zapdos just matches Tailwind, but that's fine with me. I'm probably gonna conserve. I want to conserve my Lele here, yeah. So bring out my own Metagross. And I'll just Thunderbolt the Metagross on my opponent's end. Yeah. Maybe I could have roosted. Part of me really does wish I actually did go for the Shadow Ball now, but I don't even know if that would knock out once Metagross Mega Evolves. But what I'm doing here is, once Metagross does Mega Evolve, I can switch in Landorus for Intimidate. Zapdos has a special attack drop, so it shouldn't be able to, you know, knock anything out. The one thing I was fearing was Lele switching to Metagross and then, like, Zapdos Z Electrics. But yeah, I want to conserve the Lele just because it's an instant win condition against the Hydreigon in the back. So I'll bring Metagross out. Nothing switching out, so Zapdos staying in. Could be going for a roost of its own, but that's fine. So I have, like, my opponent can bring it back this turn. Metagross could totally Zen Headbutt me too into the Zapdos slot. Looks like that's what it's going for. Yeah, it's fine by me. Doesn't knock me out. I do flinch though. Oh, and the Z move. That's the Fire Z move. Are you serious? That did not just happen. Does that knock me out at -1? It probably does. But it should be based off Heat Wave, so maybe not. Did that actually target the Lele slot? Oh, what a play. My opponent's crazy. Okay, it doesn't knock me out. But that flinch is still really obnoxious because if I don't flinch there, I mean, it would still maybe come down to a speed tie, I guess. Oh, wow. Fire Z-move Zapdos. Holy cow. Yeah, it's not looking too great. That was a really nice read. The switch out was relatively obvious, but still a really good play. I would think you target Zapdos down here to be safe. Oh, that's an unfortunate flinch. Oh well. I'm gonna Mega Evolve, Zen Headbutt Zapdos, and go for a Roost. In case my opponent... Roost probably wasn't optimal because you still knock me out even if I get it off. But I would... So ideally... Wait, did my Mega Evolution not go off? Did I just not click the Mega Evolve button? Okay, I mean, that's fine if I hit the Zen Headbutt anyway, because that should knock out. But, whoops. Yeah. Okay, we're not out of it yet. But it is a really awkward position to be in, especially if that Metagross has Ice Punch. Like, I needed the Thunderbolt damage so that Metagross would be in KO range from, like, a Shadow Ball or a Knockoff or a Stomping Tantrum. That Fire Z, I wasn't expecting Fire Z move. I was like, Electric Z move, fine, that's sure, but that was crazy. If you obviously use Fire Z move specifically for something like Metagross, that's not something I could have read really too well. I just wanted to save Lele, obviously, for the Hydreigon, but my opponent predicted that really nicely. Yeah, Hydreigon comes back in. That's not too surprising. Yeah, I mean, this is a question of what Metagross has. If you have Ice Punch, I'm screwed, I think. But if not, I could just Earthquake here right now. I want to gamble a little bit and protect EQ here. Like, I think I lose anyway if Metagross has Ice Punch, because I don't really have any counterplay. Okay, let's say my opponent does have Ice Punch. Is there any way I could win? Because you Ice Punch Landorus. I'd have to switch Landorus out into Lele, and Metagross would have to go for... Stomping Tantrum, maybe? Do I think it has Ice Punch? That's the question. I would guess Stomping Tantrum, because it looks kind of Heatran weak. Alright. So what am I going to do? Mega Evolve, Protect, and EQ. Because if I knock out the Metagross, I think I win the game with Metagross and Lele. But my opponent could easily protect Metagross here and go for an attack with Hydreigon, although that wouldn't knock me out. But then I would still lose there if Metagross protects on my opponent's end. So maybe I should have... I don't know, this is really tricky. Okay, so it stays in. Ideally, Metagross doesn't protect, just tries to Zen Headbutt me, and I knock it out with an Earthquake, because my opponent doesn't know I'm banded. And if I knock that out, then I've got Lele and Metagross. Alright, I get the Protect off. Does Metagross on my opponent's end protect? Ah. Oh, okay. Jeez, what a read. Nice play. I definitely got outplayed in my opponent made some really aggressive but good reads this game. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I could have Iron-Headed the Hydreigon there, but then I can't Earthquake, right? So I'd have to double up. Fulcrum, I think my opponent just outplayed me this game. Like, some really good plays overall. Is there any way I could win? Ironhead flinch Hydreigon. Earthquake knocks out Metagross. I think that's the only way I could win. Because then, if I flinch the Hydreigon, I'd still have Landorus around, and then it'd be Landorus Lele against Hydreigon on something on my opponent's end. Hydreigon could totally protect here, but... Okay, no protect. I go first, too. It did have Ice Punch, too. Jeez. Yeah, I was screwed one way or another. Although, I guess if I flinched here... I didn't even think Dazzling plus Stomping Tantrum crit would knock out, yeah. Yeah, so turn 1 worked out really nicely for me, but then the Fire Z move on Zapdos, that was really what did me in. That was really bad. I think what I could have done better was play more aggressively with Lele and just go for the knockout, but I thought my opponent might be a little bit scared. I also could have Shadow Ball turn 1, because I really thought Hydreigon was going to switch into the Metagross. Had I done that, actually, maybe I should have, like, played a little bit riskier and gone for that play, because Metagross was just a bigger threat. And it was very likely Metagross was switching into that slot. Because if I knock out Metagross, then I have a very good chance of winning this game, because my opponent doesn't have much for the Tapu Lele specifically. But out of curiosity, I'm going to Shadow Ball Metagross to see how much it does, because I just want to know that. If it's over 50%, then yeah, I screwed up, definitely. Yeah, I should have Shadow Ball turn 1. I would have looked so smart. R.I.P. Good game to my opponent. Even though turn 1 looked pretty good for me, I wanted to conserve Lele, and my opponent fully capitalized off that. And just, overall, my opponent outplayed me and made some really good predicts there. I mean, protecting with Metagross, playing it safe there. Although my opponent totally could have Ice Punched too, but maybe my opponent wasn't sure if Ice Punch would knock down. Protecting was definitely the more optimal play anyway. Just really good reads, yeah, and then Dark Pulsing the Landorus-T too. Very incredible play overall. So good game to my opponent there for sure. The flinch was unfortunate because without the flinch, I get to play a lot safer against the Metagross, and I can go for a knockoff or a Stomping Tantrum or a Shadow Ball. So that was kind of annoying, but overall I'd say my opponent still played better than me, especially with the crazy good read with the Zapdos Fire Z. So really well played. So 4 games for you guys today. One kind of cut short off and one kind of short, but I figured, you know, might as well. It's been a longer day. So yeah, got some games in for you. It's good to be back, guys. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this. As always, if you did, please share support by leaving a like. Go check out that last GBA game if you haven't already, and my GBA match against Joey Pokemon will be up later this week as well. And I'll provide an update video for you guys relatively soon about what's going on in real life and my plans for the channel going into the future. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. It's good to be back like I mentioned, and I'll catch you guys next time. Alright, peace.